This is Mac OS Ken.
Antitrust issues, app tracking transparency, and you should be dancing tomorrow. It's Wednesday, the 28th of April, 2021. I'm Ken Ray, and this is news from Mac OS Ken, brought to you by yours truly and sponsored by Upstart. Fair and fast personal loans. Learn more and check your rate at upstart.com/macosken. This show is also supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/macosken. The thunder has apparently been called down. Ars Technica says the EU is expected to issue charges of anti-competitive behavior against Apple this week. According to the report, the charges relate to a complaint brought 2 years ago by Spotify that Apple takes 30% commission to distribute apps through its iPhone App Store and forbids apps from directing users to pay for subscriptions elsewhere. While music may have started the party, it is not just about spinning the hits. Ars goes on to say that authorities are also investigating Apple for allegedly breaking EU laws when it comes to promoting its own ebooks over rivals on the App Store, and over concerns that it undermines competition in mobile payments by limiting access to the near-field communication chips in iPhones for rivals to Apple Pay. All of this comes to Ars Technica through people said to know something about something. Those same people say official charges could slip to a later time frame. Apple declined to comment for the Ars Technica report. Switching to a hemisphere more southerly, a piece from Apple Insider says the Australian Competition and Consumer Commission is leaning on Apple and Google to handle pre-installed apps in their mobile operating systems differently. In an interim report, the ACCC is quoted as saying, "There is a need for consumers to have more choice through an ability to change any pre-installed default app on their device that is not a core phone feature. This would provide consumers with more control to choose the app that best meets their needs and promote more robust competition in downstream markets for apps." Just as the EU maneuver isn't just about the music, the ACCC concern isn't tied strictly to pre-installed applications. Apple Insider says other issues raised in the 165-page report include payment option limitations, the risk of self-preferencing, options for rating and reviewing first-party apps, malicious and harmful applications, and misuse of commercial information. On top of all of that, the piece says the ACCC found discrepancies in both Apple's App Store and the Google Play Store related to restrictions on developer ability to access app users, the app review process, and dispute resolution. No word in the piece on next steps between Apple, Google, and the ACCC. Back north we go, where we find Russia having already reached its conclusion. A separate piece from Apple Insider says the Russian Federal Anti-Monopoly Service, or FAS, has fined Apple for breaking monopoly laws there. Honestly, I can't tell if the ruling is a mess or the article's a mess. It may be both. If I'm reading it correctly, no, the whole thing's a mess. In a ruling last year, the piece says Apple was ordered to remove provisions in its policies that gave it the right to reject apps from the App Store. The complaint itself stemmed from Kaspersky Labs, which had seen its Safe Kids application declined by Apple. For its part, Apple is quoted as saying, "We worked with Kaspersky to get their app in compliance with rules that were put in place to protect children. They now have 13 apps on the App Store, and we have processed hundreds of updates for them." Honestly, sort of sounds like a flex on the part of the FAS. Apple Insider has Russia's State Duma Committee on Information and Communications member Anton Gorelkin acknowledging that the fine wouldn't be damaging to Apple, but it would be notable in its financial statements. Gorelkin then said, gradually, we are approaching the kind of seriousness in the conversation with big tech that has long been on display in the West. The fine will definitely not be damaging to Apple. Comes to a little over $12 million US. Still, Apple respectfully disagreed with the decision and does plan to appeal. We'll try to keep track of app tracking transparency in a moment, but first a word from Upstart. Fair and fast personal loans. Whether it's paying off credit cards, consolidating high-interest debt, or funding personal expenses, over 500,000 people have used Upstart to get a simple, fixed monthly payment. Upstart looks at more than your credit score, factoring in income and employment history. That lets them offer smarter rates with trusted partners. The way they work is actually getting notice. The Wall Street Journal says Upstart's model has expanded credit access and encouraged other lenders to explore ways to lend to more people with no or limited credit history. With a 5-minute online rate check, you can see your rate up front for loans between $1,000 and $50,000, and you can receive funds as fast as 1 business day after accepting your loan. Find out how Upstart can lower your monthly payments today when you go to upstart.com/macOSKen. UPSTART. That's upstart.com/macOSKen. Don't forget to use my URL to let them know I sent you. Loan amounts will be determined based on your credit, income, and certain other information provided in your loan application. Go to upstart.com/macOSKen. I said Tuesday that Apple's long-anticipated implementation of App Tracking Transparency, or ATT, had reignited a new series of fighting words between Apple and online advertisers. What do you say we dive in? Cult of Mac drew from a Financial Times article that had ad companies arguing that ATT would, or will, drive up the cost of applications. Rather than testing that thesis, they filed an antitrust complaint against Apple in Germany. According to the Financial Times, 9 industry associations representing companies including Facebook and Axel Springer, the owner of Bild, Die Welt, and Insider, filed the complaint on Monday with Germany's competition regulator. They did that before the anticipated launch of ATT, which did of course launch, with online advertisers expected to take as much as a 60% hit on sales served through Apple Gear. The lawyers shepherding the complaint say it's consumers who will be hurt. Without the ad revenue, they argue, ad-supported apps will have to start charging. Of course, they could also try crafting quality ads rather than shooting fish in a barrel. Apple does have some tools that might help in that regard. Not today or tomorrow, but maybe day after that, figuratively speaking. Apple Insider highlights Apple's push for its own set of ad attribution tools. They're made to measure the effectiveness of ads without all that pesky tracking that people tend to hate once they know it's being done. According to the piece, private click measurement is an alternative to user data tracking that allows advertising networks to measure clicks within apps and websites. Importantly, because the tool does not track user data, specifically identifier for advertiser tags, developers can use it without asking for permission under Apple's app tracking transparency rules. According to Apple, after a user clicks on an ad for a product in an app, the web browser itself, using private click measurement, can give advertisers information that a user clicked on their ad and that it led to a certain outcome on their website, such as a visit or a purchase, without giving them information about who specifically clicked on the ad. Again, fishers of men, not shooting fish in a barrel. There are more groovy tools to come, it seems. The Apple Insider piece says Apple is planning a new version of SK Ad Network in the 14.6 version of iOS and iPadOS. It, too, is meant to give greater insight into ads' effectiveness without identifying individuals. I feel like it's worth pausing now and again to remember what we're talking about. Without most of us knowing, apps and advertisers have been tracking us, individual app users and web surfers. As Apple Senior VP of Software Engineering Craig Federighi told the Wall Street Journal earlier this week, we really just want to give users a choice. These devices are so intimately a part of our lives and contain so much of what we're thinking and where we've been and who we've been with, that users deserve and need control of that information. The abuses can range from creepy to dangerous. Apple lays out the same stance in a 2-minute video posted to YouTube. There, it points out that it's not denying access to user information. Rather, what Apple has said is, you have to ask permission to track. Meanwhile, advertisers who, in this context should really only be called data brokers, are flipping their flipping lids. Anyway, that's me off my soapbox. Back to our program. Hey, here's an idea. Why don't developers offer rewards in exchange for being allowed to track user activity? Oh, because Apple won't let them, it seems. Back to Apple Insider we go, which has the Cupertino company calling that a no-no in its human interface guidelines for developers. According to the report, under accessing user data, Apple has included a section explaining elements that developers cannot do in tandem with tracking requests. As reported by Mac Rumors, this includes outright bribery of a user. Don't offer incentives for granting the request, writes Apple, with developers unable to offer people compensation for granting their permission. Developers also cannot withhold functionality or content or make your app unusable until people allow you to track them. After months to prepare, here's a shocker. Facebook is not quite ready to implement ATT to the planet. CNET had the social network saying Monday that requests to track would start rolling out that very day, but it'll take a few weeks to roll it out across the board. Quoting Monday's report, we'll start rolling out the prompt to iOS 14.5 users today, but we will roll out the prompt over the course of a few weeks, so not all eligible users will see the prompt right away, a Facebook spokesperson said in a statement. The representative added that some Facebook users have already seen the prompt, but declined to say how many. We're ramping this rollout globally to ensure everything works as expected, the spokesperson said. Facebook has 2.8 billion monthly active users worldwide. To whom they serve information immediately, right? Yeah, I kind of want to bag on Facebook for facing this up, but Apple kind of did too. A report from Apple Insider says some users aren't getting the app tracking permission requests, not because developers haven't rolled them out, but because for some users, the option is stuck in the off position. We talked yesterday about the toggle for allowing or disallowing requests. iDownload blog explained, when you disable allow apps to request to track, any apps installed on your device that attempt to ask for your permission to track you across other apps and websites will be blocked from asking and automatically informed that you have requested not to be tracked. To me, that sounds like a problem solved. Though, as SVP Federighi said earlier, it is about user choice. And some are not getting a choice. For an unknown number of users, Apple Insider says, the allow apps to request to track selection in system settings is currently unavailable and cannot be manipulated. Instead of allowing users to toggle the accompanying radio button, the option is deactivated and setting grayed out. The Apple Insider piece has 9 to 5 Mac speculating on a few possible reasons. So far, though, No one seems to know for sure why it's functioning properly for some and not for others. And finally today, you'll want to put on your boogie shoes tomorrow. It's apparently International Dance Day, and your Apple Watch will want you to mash potato, do the twist, whatever. Mac Rumors says Apple's marking International Dance Day with an Apple Watch fitness challenge. Let's Groove begins the invitation. April 29th is International Dance Day. Earn this award by doing a dance workout of 20 minutes or more. Record your time with the workout app. Do so and you get a virtual medallion. No word on whether there are virtual dancing stickers to match. Me personally, I'm a slow dancer. Also, I used to go to goth clubs. Not the most aerobic dancing. The Mac Rumors piece points out that there are dance workouts in Apple Fitness Plus. Funny story, I'm getting my second COVID vaccine later today. Might have to give tomorrow's challenge a miss. We'll see. Coming up in a few minutes, changes to podcasts weren't the only newness announced last week. Far from it. The MacCast's Adam Christensen and I dip back into Apple's Spring Loaded event. The show is called In a Few Minutes. Find it and listen wherever you get podcasts. macOS Ken, brought to you by me and sponsored by Upstart. Fair and fast personal loans. Learn more and check your rate at upstart.com/macOSken. This show is also supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/macOSken. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media, online at backbeatmedia.com. You can reach me a couple of ways. info@macosken.com or call 716-780-4080. Until next time, that is news from macOS Ken. I'm Ken Ray.
Ciao.